Yeah, welcome back. We stick with the kind of edge OT topics a bit. And I'm happy to introduce you to my former colleagues, actually, Jürgen and Matthias. And they will tell you the story about Jürgen, who went from being an OT solution hero to an open source community ambassador. So that's going to be a special talk. Have fun.
Thanks. Thank you. Just one big disclaimer. I think you heard lots of stuff about how fancy and nice open source can be. This will be a little bit different. We come from a completely different background, basically. It's like really heavily OT. So we wanted to take you on a journey, on Jürgen's journey, to show you why we are the way we are in some regards, and then open the floor for some questions that we have for you. And with that, I would say we start.
Hey Jürgen, hey, thank you.
Hi Matthias, how are you doing?
Yeah, fine, great, thanks. But shit's going down at the plant in Singapore, where you already have been to. We need you there. They don't know how to fix the problems. We need you as an expert.
Okay, stop, don't say more. Just tell me when I have to be there.
Yeah, okay, so there would be a flight actually tomorrow at 7 a.m. Going straight from the airport to Singapore, and then you would get transferred to the plant. If you could make that, that would be great.
Okay, no problem. I will be there. So thanks for booking the flight.
Yeah, don't worry. We take care of that. Thank you for helping us. I know I can count on you. See you, Jürgen, and we call us tomorrow.
See you. Bye, Matthias.
Bye.
So maybe a little bit of a pun in the video, but actually this is how it sometimes went for Jürgen. He got a call late in the evening, next day, plant, in this case Singapore, and I'll now say, hey, welcome, Jürgen, you solved the problem, thank you. We could count on you. Now he's here with us, and I want to ask you, Jürgen, how did you become such a, let's say, problem solver?
Oh, that is a long story. I think my story starts before you have been born. So with an apprenticeship at Siemens. So I did it 3 years, and after this, I was involved in a Siemens internet project. It has kind of startup style, this project, and this was developing a letter sorting machine from the scratch. So we had no knowledge about that. And we had the mechanical construction, we had the electrical construction, and the PLC programming. And for me as a young guy, it was really a good field to learn a lot. So I did some different topics. So one thing, for example, was I redesigned a board for integrated circuits because we had a lack of chips in this time. You have to know it was in the 90s, but also there we had a lack. And so I had to redesign some hardware, and then otherwise we weren't able to supply our customers with spare parts. So that was one problem I've solved. And then in this time I also recognized that software can solve my problems because I have to know I'm a lazy guy. So software can automate my work, and so I wrote some tools which automates my work, and so I had more time to be lazy or do other things like learning new technologies. Yeah, and also what I learned in this time, we had to travel around and had to do some software updates. 90s, no internet available, so I had some floppy disk in my luggage, and I traveled around. Yeah, and what have I learned there? I can also scripting something, and then I can automate the updates. But I also learned to work under pressure, because one situation I had, I did a software update, and then we had a defective on our machine. So after this, so I was prepared. I had a spare part, but I took the wrong spare part, and so I had to tell the shift leader that he has to skip his night shift. and I will never forget his face. Yeah? So this big red hat behind me shouting, yeah, what is with my machine? When can I operate? Otherwise I have to send the people home. So, and that was situation that was not really funny, but it is also part of this job.
Yeah. So I say pressure, problem solving on the fly, and then also dealing with people that constantly get on your nerves while doing so. And then you should do software and at best do it so that everybody understands it, right? And what did you do then?
Yeah, then I quit my job. No, just kidding. Because what I really quit my job because I want to learn more about software development, but I also love electrical engineering. So I did a study of electrical engineering with a focus on communication technology, where a big part was software development. And so I improved my skills regarding software. And after this, I returned to Siemens. And in the beginning, after my study, I had some different projects. You see some pictures of that. So I traveled around the world. One was in Colombia. There I have learned to brew beer. So it was, so it was a process system for one of the biggest breweries in South America. And yeah, that was also quite a call. So we have a problem there. Please be there in 3 days. So it was 3 days is enough to prepare. I did some of these jobs. And then I had another project which was a little bit different because I had to review some PLC code libraries, software libraries for PLCs. I have to review and refactor them, and so I learned a lot about PLC programming. And in this time, this software these libraries were on the Siemens download portal. This was a SIO, it's called SIO, so Siemens Online Support. But the software was not for free. And I always ask myself, why is that software not for free? Because nobody does download the software. So, but then I got a call again. We have a problem. So then I went back to my roots regarding postal. So that were my roots. And there we had different projects. You are also here to find some pictures of it. Yeah, we had projects in China, in Singapore, in UK, somewhere else, in Germany. I was everywhere. And after a couple of calls, I got the trust of the management. And we had a project with a very tight schedule. We had to rewrite the code 8 months before start of the commissioning of this plant. And I had my task was to make the software design, I had a small team, and we were quite successful because we did. So I had the preparation. Now I know what reverse engineering I was able. I learned a lot of software development during my study. So I heard something about design patterns, for instance, and this all this knowledge helped me to make a software concept. And in the end, we were successful. We reduced the commissioning time significantly, and also the cost. We had we reduced the cost, so our profit was big. And this was for me the point proof that standardization is the key enabler for efficient engineering.
I just wanted to tell or say like standardization grew in you within that time frame. I mean, did you do any more standardization projects after that? Is that something you then took over in a new role? Was it something you carried on?
Yeah, okay, standardization was one of my key topics from this point. I had another project in Siemens, so I changed the department, and there I had some standardization projects. And also we had to migrate from the classic PLC controllers to the new advanced controllers, so our 1500 PLCs, if somebody knows them. And so I see a lot of different customer projects, and I learned that I'm a solution hero, but other customers have their own solution heroes, and they have all their own solutions. So different solutions, but very similar to my problems. And so, that was also then a new...
So basically, lots of different standards that don't interact with each other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And did you have a solution for that?
Not in this time. So I was willing to share my knowledge with others, but I had not the right tools, and I also haven't knowledge about a platform where can I share that.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe this is a good point to introduce a colleague of mine. Flo, he's here as well, and I talked to him recently because he has maybe some tools that really would help you, enable you to get where you want to be, where you can't be currently. So Flo, may you show Jürgen what you're doing?
Yeah, I can try. Yeah, I mean, what you're telling, I mean, that's, I have more like an IT background, and I think for IT, I mean, the challenges you saw, they are kind of maybe not solved, but at least well known, and we somehow found ways to do that. So I was wondering when I heard your story, like, don't the IT and the OT folks, didn't they talk to each other? Or?
So I don't know, but so how do you handle that? Because so we have our teams, we talk within the team, but also we have no real exchange to IT folks or other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no silver bullet. I think that's clear. But I mean, I think we found ways. We have stuff like, I don't know, every language has its package manager. We have libraries. We have IDEs that get smarter and smarter. And nowadays, even AI enabled, as we learned yesterday. Many things, I would say. We got stuff like, you mentioned like the compatibility, and when the stuff breaks, we have stuff like semantic versioning. So there are many things in the, let's say, toolbox, that we kind of have. And I think the kind of, I don't know, essence maybe is, and that's also why we're here somehow, is no IT, or hopefully no ITler nowadays would start everything from scratch. We have so many things already out there, so many smart minds like in the community that have already built something. So, I mean, why shouldn't we just use it? That sounds natural. And even if it's not already out there, I mean, why don't we just collaborate and work together across Siemens departments, maybe work together with the other solution heroes you mentioned? So yeah, why doesn't that happen? It would have so many benefits. You could focus on building the critical things, like you could focus on that stuff.
I think it depends on several factors. So one is the trust. I can't believe that some other people know my problem, exactly what I have to solve. So I trust my solution, but I don't trust other solutions probably. And I think other people are also thinking in this way. And the other thing is also that you mentioned some IT tools and so things like the package manager. Yeah? So I think nobody of the OT guys have heard about that technology. So it needs to be, you need to create a new know-how. It's time. Yeah, time is necessary for that. And they always have tight schedules. Yeah, jumping from project to project, so solving the problems and so on. And so I think there's no time for them. And I think also the tools are missing. So how can I access that IT technologies within my OT world? So that's...
Yeah, maybe you noticed I switched my shirt. So our solution obviously is, we set out there to kind of maybe solve or help a bit with that. Again, no universal solution, But what we did is basically we built what we call nowadays Simatic AX. And kind of the idea is somehow to help people like Jürgen, you said there are many of you, and somehow bring together, like, of course, there's a lot of knowledge in the IT space with around the package managers and all the fancy stuff, but also there's a lot of, and especially important for Siemens, knowledge in the OT space. And so, yeah, we try to build that together. And we probably won't solve like all the problems there, but we hope to help a bit. And yeah, maybe that's something for you.
So, okay.
I just wanted to say that maybe that is something for you, Jürgen. I would really ask, is this something for you? Would it be a project you would jump on?
Yeah, that sounds good, but we should fast forward the time a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we should fast forward.
So, because that was the story of my home, and I have also the same like Florian. So,
of course.
And so, yeah, and I heard about Siemens in a project, SIMATIC AX, and I was as I heard of that, I was very interested in this topic, because standardization was my favorite topic, and I heard something about IT-like engineering, but I had no clue what it does mean for me. Yeah? So Florian talked about something which is very familiar for him or for you guys, because package managers, CI, unit testing, all that stuff is not known in the OT world. So, and when I changed to SIMATIC AX team, I had to learn a lot of these technologies, and I know Florian was a big supporter for me and other colleagues. They explained me with a lot of patience what does it mean to grade an IT-like engineering. But I had a real cool and original OT use cases. And they had the solutions with IT-like tools. And that was, I think, a great thing. And yeah, that was the switch from this time. And
yeah, I would say that was the reasoning why, and I know this may sound not really fancy, but that's why we have a GitHub community. So this sounds really non-interesting, but for us, that's big. And I think Jürgen wants to show something about that.
Yeah, sure. So what we did is we created, we had now with SIMATIC AX, we had the tools to create, we have now a package manager for PLC code, and so
the other one.
And so we created our SIMATIC AX GitHub community, where we share as PLC code with other OT customers. It's already public available, so everybody can use it. And here, for instance, I created something like a state machine, a state pattern is a small framework, because you have to know in the automation domain, state machines is a really common use case. So, so every process which picking a part and bring it to another place, pick and place solutions need state patterns. And if you know how it's done nowadays with format tools, you have a thing like here. Can you see it? So you have thing. Usually with classic automation tools, you create a state machine with a big case statement. So you can imagine here you have a state drinking, then drink. If the glass is empty, then go to the state order something, order new beer, and then if received, then change to the state. So that's a way, but you have to imagine that. Huh? Sorry?
Dangerous state machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you should have an emergency stop inside. Yeah. So that has to be handled. But but you find in some PLC applications state machines with I say 30, 50, or 100 states, and this is very handled. And if you want to test this, it's very hard. So I would say it's impossible to test it. But here with SIMATIC AX, We introduced also object-oriented programming for Siemens PLCs. That was also not normal. Yeah, it's available since November last year. We had
since November last year.
Yeah,
as a limited test release, I have to say, because otherwise people will kill me.
So and this enables things like here doing a state pattern. Yeah, I was inspired of the Gang of Four. They had a state pattern, also a state pattern, and now you can also create some abstract states, so that was not available in the past. And so and we put this on GitHub to share this code, and you find many other things here. So there are also something, so a serializer for JSON strings or something else, or a parser for JSON format. It's all things which are not available out of the box of our tools. And now we have the way to share that code with others. And we hope that some people will contribute soon, but in the moment it's not so known in the OT world.
Yeah, I would say the biggest issue we currently face is that, like Jürgen said, people are not used to it, and since people are not used to it, you don't have that many contributors, you don't have that many users. I imagine it was the same some way more years ago for you guys to some degree. But some people are doing stuff, and we have also a statement from somebody, from one of our co-creation partners. They have on the other page their own solution, open source solution built. I think you can click it over the.
I'm Peter. I work at NTS Slovakia as a company, about 600 people. I work there as a CTO, and my main focus is on PLC and programming in general. For me, there are many good reasons to do open source. I mean, maybe as a starter, we should say that in the field of industrial automation, there is no much culture of open source in general. There are some projects, and it has different reasons why the open source didn't like take off in industrial automation. But also the culture is very close. There is not just little open source, but also very little information sharing. Everything is behind paywalls. People, they tend to protect their code, although I think that the reason to protect the code in the industrial automation is more about a feeling of shame how the code looks like, rather than protecting some intellectual property, because really if you look at the PLC programming, it's not easy, but it's not rocket science. There are also some technical issues that were like creating obstacles to for open source, and that was like the proprietary format in which the source code is stored on most automation platforms. Also very cumbersome access to automate like the tasks within a project for some DevOps scenarios. So that is really hard on this classical automation platforms. So this is, I mean, for us the reason to engage with AX, because I mean that's a real enabler at this point. I always try not to be too religious about computer languages or platforms, but at this point, AX looks like a really good thing, and everybody should have a look at that. Okay, so we have this project. This is called AX Sharp, which basically creates like a twin of the controller, of its data structures, and gives it to the .NET environment, and their sky is the limit. And then we have a second project for AX, which is AX Open, which aims to be like an application framework for basically for our developers, the company, to build the applications. We did a lot of work to make it work on other platforms or other platform, but that was a great pain to do it. So with AX, it was very, very, very easy. I really genuinely believe that we will not see great progress in industrial automation if we do not engage more seriously in sharing information and open sourcing.
Yeah, well, this statement from one of our co-creation customers, and now I changed also into the AX shirt, just to fit in. I think you see a lot of similarities to what Jürgen told you. All the same issues, but also different ideas, different topics that they say they want to build on. So there are some people that do cool stuff, or at least in our case, cool stuff. You have to tell us. But this is where we're currently are and where we're kind of stuck. Because we do this, we try to bring it forward, but there seems to be, currently at least, not much coming back. And what we want to use this opportunity here to maybe ask also you some questions in regards to, hey, how did you achieve contribution? How did you get things rolling? What should we do to get things like this up and running, to make them more popular, even in a domain where it's not that used that much? And that would be very, very great. If some of you have input, feel free. If you have questions, feel free. If you want to add something, Jürgen, feel free. No, it's silence. Oh, there's somebody.
I actually have first a question. So do I understand it right? You are rewriting TIA Portal now based on Visual Studio? Or, I'm a little bit confused. Sorry.
That's critical questions. No, it's two different toolings that address different target groups. Basically, what we have is a VS Code-based tool. We program in ST, so structured text. They share some similarities since you do engineering for controllers, of course, but nonetheless, they function pretty differently.
Sorry. So then probably my suggestion would be that, I mean, the community, I had a quick look, it looks amazing. I'm very not used to having that from the OT side from Siemens. So I think this kind of stuff should be supported also for people who have already the usage of TIA. I mean, the community is much larger, and what you are now trying to convince people is to not just adopt this new philosophy of open source, but at the same time also change all their tooling. So I think what would be great if you have like Git integration in TIA and then be able to pull it out of the GitHub and then also directly over TIA push back pull requests to essentially not make the change too dramatic at once.
I can't talk for my TIA Portal colleague, of course. But what we do support is, I said it before, currently AX is just in a limited sales release in some limited countries in Europe. And what we do is we have a shared use case between AX and the TIA Portal. So we have a library use case where you say, all the library programming is done in AX, you export the libraries and can use them as global libs in TIA Portal. But that's basically the gist of it for this part, basically. Yeah, but I got you.
So this is completely not my domain, but I just went to the GitHub page and tried to click it, and there was a Siemens login. So it's Siemens or Flender that can access the console. Are you planning to open this up for everybody, or is this Siemens and Flender only, the console?
For everybody.
You don't mean the GitHub community, you mean the tooling. Yes, since it's a limited sales release, we don't have it open yet. It's something that's the big issue currently, basically.
Yeah, that might help adoption if that gets opened.
Yeah, maybe also a remark. I'm doing open source Linux and automation, I think even longer than I'm with Siemens, so I can absolutely share your pain. So for 20 years, we tried to push open source technology to automation. Back then, against Siemens. By now, I'm happy to be on that side, which actually pushes this as well. The culture is actually an issue, and I'm seeing it maintaining some projects which are being used in automation. You are basically talking to a wall when you try to get them on board. Then you are talking to those multipliers in the communities, service suppliers, consultancies that say, yeah, we would like to tell more, but our customers doesn't allow us. So first of all, you have a way to go. On the other side, I'm very with you if you try to go that way. The guy you had there on the video, those people you need as multipliers to tell the story, tell the success stories, live by example, and push that to change the community. I mean, there are young people coming up, they have different mindsets, different experience, they can be used for that, but it will take a while, I guess. But still worthwhile, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you. There's another question.
Thanks for the feedback.
And right here.
Hi, so I also checked the repository, and I found 3 good reasons why I wouldn't use it as is. First, you start with a warning, so maybe remove this warning. In the state of the project, you say it's under development, please don't use it until spring 2024. And in disclaimer, you say you need a valid license. So I think it's you give 3 reasons why not to use it in the README of the front page. If you want to push adoption, maybe remove it.
So where is it?
In the X Sharp repository.
The X Sharp.
That's not
not
us.
from our.
This one is from the guy you've heard in the video.
Okay.
This is not from us.
That is our cooperation partner.
Yeah, this is not from us.
So
Okay, good.
here you shouldn't find that disclaimer.
Very good.
One question from my side. The download you can download is the Visual Studio Code adjusted with that environment, right? Is there a reason why you're not offering a plugin for existing Visual Studio Code?
This question is often, but yes, there are reasons. I wouldn't go into detail now for that because it would take too long, but maybe we can talk about that later. That's maybe a thing.
Okay. Well, the first thing that you already did is go to conferences and talk about that. I mean, if you want to have more users, you need to have more people having a first look at the GitHub repository. And the other thing, what for example Microsoft, Apple, and Google analyzed for their for Android, the place where you download all the apps is that the normal user takes less than 30 seconds to decide, well, is it an app that I might use or not? If you can't catch the person within the first couple of seconds, then they will just switch to another page. So try to read again your README file and see if the people scroll down half a page, do they have all the information that they need? Will they understand what you want them to do? I've published my own open source projects. I don't have many contributors. I'm looking also for a way to get more people in there, but I'm in a different situation. So my stuff is for developers. If the developers find it, then maybe they find it useful, then it would be good for me. If not, then, well, what the heck. But if you want to grow your community, you must make it very, very easy to understand for everybody what you want, what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
From my perspective, I guess the challenge is also all the huge amount of new tools and so on that come to the people within the PLC domain. So version control, that's a new thing. Then you have the coding environments. Then you have the object-oriented things and so on. And I guess introducing those things step by step or via other tools, adding Git support to I guess there is some basic Git support in some PLC engineering tool already. And getting those things step by step closer to the people. And of course, conferences, or I don't know, do we have conferences, PLC conferences, I guess there, where you really have the people, if they're not on site, being able to join conferences, I don't know. But what we did here, for example, also with the event, it was a mini event, and then we had more people that were convinced, hey, that's cool, and we have other topics and so on, but it's a marathon, I'm pretty sure.
Thanks for this feedback, but do you think some kind of tutorials would make sense on the GitHub community? So, because when I talk to the OT guys, 90% of them, I think they didn't know something about package management and so other stuff. When we explain it here on GitHub as a tutorial, do you think it helps?
I think those, especially for the different kind of entry levels, or to really guide people through the different kind of steps, or maybe just a Git clone. Of course, you can Google it by yourself how to do the Git clone, but if you've never used it, you probably only need the Windows version, because all the PLC programming stuff works on Windows, I guess. So you can simplify that installation manual and so on, and to really bring the people in an easy way close, so that they have a success within 5 minutes or so. If they have a success within 5 minutes, they keep on going. I want to have more. And then they are in the loop, in the endless loop of your state machine.
Okay. Endless learning, yes. Yeah. Thanks for this feedback. Drink. Yeah.
Also, one aspect would be to really narrow down all the README and so on to the use case of industry automation. So use all the terminology there and try to have like so that they see that they see the topic that they already know, and just combine it, as Roger mentioned, with like small little things.
Maybe this is also a topic where we struggled somewhat in the beginning, because when you tell people in our domain, hey, we can use a package manager, the first question is not only what is a package manager, but they can't really tell what the word package manager even means. So, but then you come to the point where you think about, do I have to find some alternatives for the word to explain it, which is good because then they might understand it, but then they still don't know what a package manager is if they stumble upon the word package manager later on. And so that's also something we struggle with. I know it sounds stupid, but it's this tiny things we sometimes struggle with.
How is it language-wise? Are all the people programming PLCs talking English, or is it you have a German community, an Italian community, and so on, or you need translation? I don't know.
Yeah, it depends. Many customers, especially they which have some international projects, they have to translate the comments in the code to the local language, so even to Chinese. Yeah, so it's often a problem. So here with text-based, and so we have it's recommended to comment your code in English, but it should be. For that guys, they want to like more IT-like. It should be normal to code in English.
Some, I would say, national strongholds in automation, like some Asian countries, especially Japan and Korea, and then you have like Germany, and then you have the US as the big three, I would say, 3 in quotation marks, and then you have China. So yeah. So I would say thank you first to let us be here.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you very much.